Welcome back to the deep dive, where we grab some really fascinating sources and we dive in. And today we are going headfirst into the Ramayana, but we're not just talking like, monkey gods and demon kings. We're going deeper than that. We're looking for the regrets, the tough choices that these characters had to make that make them feel surprisingly human, even though this was written thousands of years ago.
Thousands of years ago, right?
And to help us navigate this emotional landscape, we have excerpts from Rama's Dark Regret, What He Could Never Say.
Interesting.
It's a fictional work that flips the script on this classic tale.
Yeah, the title itself, Rama's Dark Regret, it really suggests a level of introspection and vulnerability that we don't really associate with Rama, right?
Yeah.
Like he's the embodiment of Dharma, the perfect king. How could he possibly have regrets?
Right. And it's a bold claim to suggest that Rama has regrets, right? He's practically synonymous with righteousness, but isn't that what makes a story truly compelling?
Yeah.
Those moments where the hero's facade kind of cracks and we see the human underneath?
Exactly.
So let's start with Rama himself.
Okay.
He's raised from birth to be the ideal king. He's strong. He's virtuous, the embodiment of duty.
Right.
But how does that unwavering dedication to Dharma clash with his very human love for Sita?
Well, that's the crux of his internal conflict, right?
Okay.
Because duty, in the context of kingship, it's not just about following the rules, it's about upholding the moral fabric of society, ensuring order and stability for his people.
Okay.
And in the world of the Ramayana, a king's personal life was inseparable from his public role.
So it's not just a love story, it's deeply political.
Yep.
And that's where I think the excerpt about the fire trial really hit me.
Yes.
This is Rama, the epitome of virtue, asking his wife, who has already endured so much, to prove her purity in such a public and agonizing way.
Right.
What do you make of that demand? It feels almost like a betrayal.
It's a heart-wrenching scene, no doubt about it. But to really understand it, you need to consider the immense pressure that Rama faced as king.
Okay.
Remember, every action that he took was scrutinized and interpreted as a reflection of his fitness to rule.
Right.
So by asking Sita to undergo the trial, he's not acting as a husband. He's acting as a king, attempting to quell any doubt about his honor and, by extension, his kingdom's honor.
So he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't.
Exactly. A no-win situation.
Wow. It makes you think about the sacrifices that are demanded by leadership even today. Have you ever faced a decision where doing what seemed right for the many meant potentially hurting someone you cared about?
Of course.
Yeah, it's a dilemma that resonates across millennia.
It does, and it reminds us that even figures like Rama, who are often depicted as almost superhuman in their virtue, they grapple with impossible choices with the knowledge that even the right decision can have really painful consequences.
And speaking of resilience, let's turn to Sita.
Okay.
She's often depicted as a passive victim in this story, but these excerpts paint a very different picture.
They do.
Her unwavering loyalty, she follows Rama into exile, she endures abduction, but it's her inner strength during that fire trial that really struck me.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's so powerful about this retelling, is that it really is a departure from these traditional portrayals of women in mythology. Instead of physical prowess or cunning, Sita's strength is in her unwavering love and her devotion.
Right.
We see her inner thoughts, her steadfast belief in Rama's righteousness, even when faced with this blatant questioning of her own.
And that's what makes her resilience so compelling. It's not about fighting fire with fire. It's about enduring and holding on to your truth, even when the world seems determined to burn it down.
It is.
And there's this excerpt where she's reflecting on her time in captivity, and she uses this metaphor of a tree bending with the wind.
Okay.
It's not about breaking, it's about survival.
Yeah, it's a powerful image, and it speaks to a very different kind of strengths than we often see celebrated.
It really does make you think about the different faces of resilience, right?
Yeah.
What about you, like in your own life, when your strength was tested, maybe not by literal fire,
Right.
but by challenges that felt just as intense? What did you hold on to? What helped you weather the storm? But, speaking of, let's shift gears a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the villain in this epic Ravana.
Yep.
We kind of tend to picture him as this one-dimensional embodiment of evil,
Oh, yeah.
but the excerpts that we have really complicate that image for me.
They do. What's so fascinating is that these excerpts don't shy away from Ravana's, darker impulses, his ego, his relentless desire, his thirst for power.
Right.
But they also give us these glimpses into his inner world, his motivations.
Yeah.
The fact that he was a scholar of the Vedas, he was well-versed in these sacred texts.
Yeah, it's like a contradiction.
It really is.
This demon king steeped in this ancient wisdom, yet driven to do these really destructive acts. What does that tell us about knowledge without wisdom?
It's a potent reminder, I think, that knowledge, however vast, can be a double-edged sword.
Okay.
Ravana possessed immense intellect, even spiritual understanding.
Right.
But it had become twisted by his unchecked ambition and his inability to see beyond his own desires.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just a story about good versus evil.
Right.
It's a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of power and how even the most brilliant minds can be blinded by their own ego.
Yeah, and we see that even today.
All the time.
People in positions of power and their egos just run wild, and it leads to disastrous consequences for everyone around them.
Absolutely.
It's almost like Ravana's story is a blueprint for how not to let power corrupt.
It is.
But we have two more figures I want to get to. Because they represent sort of these contrasting sides of devotion and loyalty.
Okay.
We have Lakshmana, Rama's very devoted brother,
Right.
and Hanuman, the monkey god, who becomes Rama's most ardent disciple.
An excellent choice.
Yeah.
They provide a fascinating study in contrasts.
Right, because they're both utterly devoted to Rama, yet their motivations and their actions reveal these very different interpretations of what it means to be loyal.
Exactly.
Lakshmana is bound by duty. He's always by Rama's side.
Right.
But the excerpts show this really deep internal struggle that he has.
Yeah.
This conflict between following Rama's orders and his own desire to protect Sita, especially after her abduction.
He carries so much guilt and regret over what happened to Sita and blames himself, even though he was simply following Rama's command to guard her. It highlights that complex nature of blind obedience.
Wow.
You know how even well-intentioned actions can have unintended, and in this case, tragic consequences.
And then you have Hanuman, a figure of almost boundless strength and devotion.
Right.
But his isn't just about duty. It's about unwavering faith in Rama.
Yes.
This pure, selfless love and belief in Rama's righteousness.
Exactly.
He's not just following orders, he's driven by something much deeper.
Absolutely. Hanuman transcends the limitations of his monkey form, not just through his physical strength, but through the sheer force of his faith and his compassion.
Wow.
He sees Sita suffering, he feels the injustice of her situation, and it fuels his determination to help her.
It's like he embodies the highest ideal of devotion.
He does.
Completely selfless and unwavering.
He does.
And it's interesting because he doesn't seem to carry the same burden of regret that Lakshmana does.
Precisely. And that speaks volumes about the power of aligning your actions with your heart.
Oh, okay.
I think both Lakshmana and Hanuman teach us very, very valuable lessons about loyalty and devotion.
Right.
But they also highlight the importance of self-reflection. You know, questioning our motivations and ensuring that our actions are truly in alignment with our values.
So it's not enough to just follow orders or adhere to some strict code of conduct.
No.
We have to consider the impact of our actions,
Yes.
even when we think that we're acting for the greater good.
We do. It's a balancing act.
It is.
It really is trying to live by your values while navigating the complexities of duty love and the often messy realities of the world around us. It really is a balancing act that we all grapple with, you know?
Yeah.
Whether we're facing these epic dilemmas or just navigating the everyday parts of our lives.
Right. It makes you wonder, what can we learn from the regrets of these characters?
Yeah.
Even the ones who seem larger than life, you know?
Right.
If they could speak to us today, what wisdom might they offer?
Well, I think maybe Ravana would urge us to temper our ambition with compassion
Okay.
and to recognize that true power lies not in domination, but in lifting others up.
Okay.
Sita might encourage us to hold fast to our inner truth,
Right.
even in the face of doubt and adversity,
Yeah.
reminding us that resilience can bloom even in the harshest conditions.
And Rama, the embodiment of duty, what message might he offer from beyond the pages of this epic?
You know, I think Rama, reflecting on the choices that he made, the sacrifices that he demanded, he might urge us to lead with both our heads and our hearts.
Yeah.
To remember that even the most righteous path can be fraught with these really difficult decisions.
Right.
And that true leadership requires not just unwavering adherence to duty, but also deep empathy
Yeah.
and a willingness to acknowledge the human cost of our choices.
Wow. It's a powerful message.
It is.
That these ancient stories, these myths and legends, still hold so much relevance for us today.
They do.
You know, we see ourselves reflected in their struggles, their triumphs, their flaws.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Ramayana isn't just a tale of gods and demons, you know,
Right.
of good versus evil. It's a mirror.
Yeah.
It's reflecting the complexities of the human experience.
Yeah.
It's reminding us that even in the face of impossible choices,
Right.
even when we're grappling with our own regrets,
Yeah.
there's always room for growth, for compassion, for a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
So as we resurfaced from this deep dive into the Ramayana,
Yes.
one question lingers for me.
Right.
How can we use this? How can understanding the complexities of these characters, their regrets and their triumphs,
Right.
how can that help us navigate the moral dilemmas in our own lives?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is. And on that note, we'll leave you to reflect on the lessons of this epic tale. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those questions coming.